Hey everybody, this is Chris
I'm Pete.
and we are the Art Take podcast hosts. We're going to do a small video showing how to scan or how I personally scan medium format film. I took a bunch of night photography with some friends in Long Beach, and we're just going to go through that process of how I scan it, digitize it, maybe some edits, but probably not.
Yeah, this is also a really cool way to sort of see the process of you haven't seen these photos, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
So
this is
it's
my
like
first time seeing them.
it's super cool. This is kind of like part of the magic of shooting film, right? Is you haven't seen what they look like, but you kind of see it in your head, right? Like you took the
Exactly.
photo and
Yeah.
some people like think about specific photos on a roll and like, "Oh, I think that one's going to be a good one," or
Yeah.
this is like the moment that keeps us coming back to film, I guess.
Exactly. It's like the delayed gratification
Yeah.
of like knowing the pictures in your head or like vaguely remembering them and finally getting them back and seeing them in like their like true form or like edited form.
Right.
So I'm excited. First, I'll just talk like a quick summary of what I'm going to be doing. So I have an Epson V500, which is a flatbed scanner. It comes with these really shitty film holders that are made of plastic. So
Right.
basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to put my medium format film in there. I'm going to close it up. I'm going to put it into the scanner. I'm going to close the scanner top, and then it's going to scan the pictures.
It's at this point Chris holds up his negatives and holds them to the sky
Oh
so the
man.
light shines
Okay.
through. This is a critical moment in negative scanning. As you can see, Chris gently pulls the negatives from the plastic sleeve, prepares them to insert to the V600 or V550 scanner. The anticipation is growing.
All right. So here is my roll of 120 film. I shot Kodak Ektar 100.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, I tried something new. I've never shot it in 120 before, so I'm hoping it'll be cool. I got it developed at Pro Photo Connection. Shout out to those guys. You can see my camera has a little bit of spacing issues, but
Yeah.
if you don't know what spacing issues is, it's basically like usually these like 6 by 6 centimeter by 7 centimeter frames should be evenly spaced, but see, there's like a big gap right there where my eyeball is,
Yeah,
um,
and it almost looks like
and
a
these two are
panoramic
together.
photo.
So now we're cooking.
I think the
Um,
important thing to point out right now actually is,
mhm,
a lot of people have printers and scanners at home,
mhm,
and the question I guess could come up like, why or should I just use the scanner that I already have? And you
mhm,
can, but it's just like these dedicated film scanners like the Epson V550 or 600
mhm,
or 750 or whatever, even like the Plus Tech, like you have a Plus Tech too. Like these are like dedicated film scanners,
mhm.
and it's different than your average printer scanner setup.
Yeah, yeah. Like a lot of scanners, like for office use or specifically for documents, right?
Right.
Um, and like what Pete's saying is like the dedicated film scanners, they have like a scanning portion on the bottom that scans documents, but it also has a part on the top, like on the lid, that shines light through to specifically scan film. And that's why the holder is shaped a certain way, such that your negatives are like in the correct spot for that strip. So this is
Ta-da.
the typical Epson scan software. As far as I know, it's just like the generic one, but there could be like
Mm-hmm.
fancier ones. So I'm gonna press preview right now, and that will show me sort of. Oh, you can hear it working. Yeah,
There's the
it's like
Epson scan.
R2D2. It's like
That was
so.
good.
Thanks.
Look at that.
There it is. Yeah. So basically, I just drew a box around what specifically I wanted to scan, um, and I'm just gonna press scan and then choose where it's gonna go. All right, so we can
That was
see
actually pretty
this.
fast.
Yeah, it's not like a super high resolution 1200, I think. Um, but that is
Sweet.
our first frame here. Look at that. All right.
Damn, that looks hella good.
Thanks. Let's see if it's in focus. That'll be interesting. Uh, guys, just look away. Like from back here, it's good,
That's
but
fine though.
yeah, I think it seems a little like I was a little bit shaky. All right, this one I remember seeing in the negative, and it was pretty overexposed, and I can't even zoom into like what I'm doing. So it's kind of like this is all I got to work with. Like what makes mirrorless scanning different?
So what I like about mirrorless scanning is I have the ability to have a digital camera. You know, like my wife does a lot of video stuff, and I need a camera for video.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like at the time that I made the decision to go to mirrorless scanning, um, a lot of people were saying it's faster than the Epson scan, you know, and obviously I was intrigued by that. So I tried it
Are you
out.
not satisfied with the speed of this process right now? We almost have two pictures.
That's true. I mean, I definitely would have been done already, but I think it's just, it's just different, and obviously you have to invest in it. Like, I can imagine somebody who's never shot film before and is just like intimidated by the price of shooting film, but still
Mhm.
wants to do it. Like, if you have a digital camera already, like, just buy a macro lens that's 1:1 and, you know, buy a cheap lomography film holder and you're good, and it's like, you know,
Yeah, it's way quicker than this. Once you have like everything set up. Yeah, so this is the second frame, and this one, I put it on a railing,
mm,
so that looks like everything's pretty much in focus. I don't know, this grain is
yeah.
insane. All right, so this is frame 3. Um, yeah, and we're still like in the Long Beach Harbor. It's more like the night, or like the sun has just set, I think, is when I took this picture. So the sky um, has a bunch of sunset colors, but like before, I kind of exposed for the shadows.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it seems a little blown out. So like those rocks in the foreground, like you can see all the shadow detail there, but then the sky is a little bit brighter than it was in real life, which like in to me that's kind of where you want to be, because you can always darken things, but you can't take, or you can't like put back stuff that's too dark and wasn't captured
Yeah.
on the image or on the emulsion. All right, so this is the frame that got some overlap on it, and since I kind of want to like scan it all together, I deleted that last selection rectangle, and I'm going to make another one that has both of them.
DIY pano.
Yeah, right. It's like, not really, but like kind of. I really wish there was a better way to do this. Like,
Can you?
let me zoom in a little bit.
The zoom can't work.
Oh, what the? Oh, look at that!
Did,
Wow.
did it
I
make it
can't
big?
believe I never tried that.
Oh,
Be like,
press the
zoom.
zoom
What is
button.
that? Yeah, right. Like maybe if you press that zoom button since you want to zoom in, like, who are you? What are you talking about? You crazy, crazy man. What I did here was two different shutter speeds. So this one is like, I don't know its speed, but you can see like the motion of the
Mm-hmm.
waves, right?
Oh yeah.
And then this one, it's like a bit clearer, or like more glassy. I think
Mm-hmm.
this was like a 30-second exposure, maybe. And then this one was like an eighth or something. But you can also tell the difference between like the f stops, like what that does, I think, because like on this side it's like kind of in focus, like a little bit blurry, like here especially, but then on this frame, like that's way clearer, it seems like,
Yeah.
at least just looking right now at the eye, like with my eye. So I wanted like a closer focus, so you can see like right here on the bottom left corner,
Mm-hmm.
it's like pretty sharp right there, I think. Oh yeah, I'm screen sharing right now on my monitor. So like that's pretty sharp. I did like a good job of there. But since it was like such a close thing, like I was literally pointing it down to the ground. Um, since it was close and my aperture seemed like pretty close, I might have been at like f8, which is really wide open for medium format, I think. But all these other rocks were out of focus. So
I like
post,
this shot a lot. Super
nice.
moody.
Yeah, definitely pretty moody. I think like that buoy pretty much makes it. But like I said, I would have liked to have more of the rocks in focus. But you know, shit
It's where
happens.
like I wonder why they call it a leaf shutter. You know why?
Mm, it might have to do with like there's a thing called a leaf spring. Maybe because it's quiet as a leaf. I like that explanation.
Or the shutters look like leaves.
Ah, maybe. All right, so
Would
this is my favorite frame, I think, of this roll.
did you upload it already?
Yeah, it's uploading right now,
Oh, okay. Oh,
and
there it is.
I'm about to
Da-na. Oh,
share the
dang.
screen. Look at that.
That's
Woo!
super cool. The
Nice one,
purples
Chris.
are crazy.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting that it came out as purple because it was like we're firmly in night photography territory now.
Mm-hmm.
So this was definitely a long exposure, and I think at the time it was like blue and red. So blue and red
What?
makes purple.
Oh, yeah, there we
Like it
go.
was flashing. You know what I
Uh,
mean? Right now would be like a kind of cool time to talk about exposure for night photography.
yes.
So I have a couple things to say about it. Exposure for long exposures, um, like for night photography or astrophotography, is kind of tricky because a lot of light meters won't register like below a certain EV, like when it's too dark. So a lot of people use like spot metering, but then spot metering is like you can only choose one spot, right? And so what I did for this one, I didn't take an overall reading of the scene with my light meter, which I use like a phone light meter. Um, what I did was I like found where I wanted like my middle gray to be, which is like if you're exposing for a person, you want them usually to be in middle gray if they have like a fair skin tone. Um, but basically, what I did was I chose like this area of the staircase as my middle gray. So like I wanted this to be as bright as like a skin tone. That's basically what I was telling my camera to expose for. So I like literally walked all the way up there and
Ah.
I took a reading with my camera or like my phone light meter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like instead of using like a scope on a spot meter to be like, I
Right.
want that, I like literally just walked my ass up there and was like, I want this like to be middle gray. And I think it turned out pretty good because
Yeah.
if you take like an overall reading of this whole scene, like you have like I would have like these lights shining at me and these lights shining at me, and that would throw off my exposure in a way. It would kind of like
Absolutely.
make it seem like I have a lot more light than I actually do. So if I did that, I would probably get like none of this shadow detail down here with the birds of paradise. And like these neon colors would probably be like more colorful and less blown out. But you'd lose like probably all this shadow detail too and
Right.
everything that's not shiny just because it takes like an overall like snapshot and then averages out like the light coming in.
Different than how you would shoot on a digital camera.
Yeah,
So like digital
absolutely.
camera would you would people recommend that you would meter for the highlights,
Mhm.
and then you can just like digitally bring up the shadows, and your camera, depending on the age of the sensor,
Yeah.
could retain those highlight details. I mean those shadow details.